As I told, I am a research assistant and I work for the Laboratory of Health and Road Safety. I will talk to you about the COMMUN Aid project and specifically for a research on post-victimization needs of sexually harassed female migrant domestic workers in Greece. The overall aim of the project is to increase the capacity of migrant domestic workers to respond to sexual violence through developing and testing community-based interventions. Countries as Greece, Cyprus, Austria, and Sweden have been selected as the ones with the greatest proportion of migrants and migrant domestic workforce. Additionally, a number of NGOs and organizations of experts, along with their members with long experiences in the field of violence and migration and different backgrounds, sociologists, psychologists, lawyers, social workers, nurses, and others, are involved in the project to ensure high quality of the project outcomes. The project is funded by the European Union under the Daphne III program. The COMMUN Aid project is expected to carry out a baseline assessment of sexual harassment of female migrant domestic workers in European countries with limited information in this matter as Greece. It is also expected to highlight the existing policy gaps and to develop supportive community systems which will efficiently meet the needs of victimized migrants. Migrant domestic workers are more vulnerable than local people and lack the capacity to protect themselves against abusive situations due to the lack of local language skills, the low awareness of the local laws and customs, the inadequate access to appropriate jobs, and the limited knowledge of their rights. While many domestic workers feel that they have no choice but to stay and suffer abuse because fleeing their employer would mean lapsing into irregular status. This study is a qualitative research and This study aimed to understand the experiences of sexually victimized migrant women employed as domestic workers and their needs for post-victimization support. As I told, is a qualitative social research carried out on May until July 2013. The sample was 20 sexually harassed, abused migrant domestic workers, and the study design was semi-structured face-to-face interview, and they were recruited through a snowball technique. As you can see, it is a table for participants' characteristics. The most of them is in marital relationships with children, and they are coming from Balkan countries. Most of these women are graduates from the basic or compulsory education. The average staying in Greece is approximately 13 years, while the mean year of employment in domestic sector is 9.3 years. At first, I should refer that most of the participants made the travel arrangement on their own, and also most of them had been working as domestic workers since their arrival in the host country. The vast majority of the participants were employed as domestic workers, either due to the lack of language skills or due to the low education levels and lack of qualifications, while some qualified participants were working as domestic workers due to their illegal status. Moreover, domestic work had always been an attractive employment option due to the high demand in a period of high unemployment. Most of the participants reported working in a morning to evening shift, while few of them reported a 24-hour or part-time employment. regardless migrant women's legal status, the law provisions regarding social insurance and payment were not followed for the most of them. The majority of them was assigned with the task of elderly care and housekeeping. It is really important to refer that the income that they had from domestic war was very crucial for their families. For the vast majority of the participants, the sexual harassment started immediately after the work assignment or few months later. The perpetrators was, the most of them, the employers or close relatives of them under 50. The violence or harassment started with mild acts as staring and flattering. Progressively, it continued with petting and inappropriate touching, which made the woman feel uncomfortable. Eventually involved coercive kissing and efforts of seduction, which was accompanied by intimidating behavior towards the victim. In many cases, the employers used persistent unethical proposals and extra money offers or forced the participants to be involved in appropriate touching of body parts. The woman at first stage didn't report the incidences for the majority of them. As a woman told to us, she was trying to handle the situations alone in order to keep her job. I must say that in all of the cases, the harassment took place when the employer was alone with the employee. Also, the participants, the most of them, choose not to disclose their victimization and left their job either without a new one or upon finding a new one. And the most of them again remained at the specific work position for approximately 3 months to 2 years after the first incidents of sexual harassment. The most common reasons for not disclosing the victimization and seek for help was the fear of losing their job, as well as the fear of deportation due to the illegal migrant status and the illegal nature of job. Other common reasons for underreporting victimization were the fear of being financially and psychologically unsupported, the fear of husband's reaction upon learning about the incident, the disbelief against authority, and the feeling of shame. It is important to say to you that from the 20 women that asked in Greece, only 2 women sought help from public organizations or NGOs. Very few participants face the situation without allowing themselves to experience fear. The most common feelings was fear, anger, insecurity, uncertainty, and more. Most of them reported experiencing, for a certain period of time, many of the participants suffered depression and psychosomatic symptoms. Some participants chose to work in other sectors, while others remained unemployed due to their inability to recover from the psychological trauma and its consequences. Many participants also reported difficulties in their intimate relationships. Some of them indicated unwillingness to have sexual intercourse with their partner, while others expressed negative feelings for men in general. The self-reported needs. The victimized woman in the majority expressed the need to develop employment opportunities for the victimized migrant domestic workers, the need to create helplines offering psychological and legal advice anonymously. Especially the younger participants expressed their strong desire to learn the local language and to have the opportunity to attend the school activities of their children. Finally, the vast majority had no information or false information about the supporting organization operating in the host countries. Sexual harassment and violence against female migrant domestic workers is a really serious problem in Greece. The unfavorable working conditions, the working isolation, as well as the unofficial employment status, which is true for the participants, can be seen as risk factors which make them vulnerable to sexual harassment. One commonality that cuts across all participant countries is the gendered nature of sexual assaults committed against women employed in the domestic sector. Based on the above, the emerging need for raising migrant awareness cannot be disregarded, neither the urgent need for the development of urgent, competent and migrant-friendly services. Thank you very much.